Hello, everybody. Welcome to Create with Maxon. My name is Max, and thank you so much for joining me today. And today is the final sessions of the April live stream series that was started with Ian. Um, I think Ian started with modeling a perfume bottle, and then Ellie took it over and add some textures, and then also animate it and create some nice lighting. And as you probably already guessed, today we're gonna take whatever Ellie gave me and the render from Ellie project, and then we add some spices. We'll level it up a little bit and add a little bit color grade on top of it. But I hope you all doing fine, and let me know where are you guys joining. Oh, Brian is in the chat. Hey, Brian, nice to meet you. Yeah, looking forward to this one. Yeah, that's nice. Andre is there. Nice. Thank you very much for joining me today, guys. And Samir, hi. And I don't know how advanced you are in color grading, or how like new you are to the topic. I hope I can cover like all the hi Intren, and I hope I can cover all the, how do you call it, all the skill level. And I will try not to go too like complicated with the grade, but we will do some like nice simple grade, and I'll walk you through like my train of thoughts. And yeah, whenever you have any questions, please feel free to stop me, and then just write in the comment, and we'll make it as casual as possible, as relaxing as possible. And Olivia from London, hello. And Chris, nice to meet you guys. All right, so without further ado, let me share my screen, okay? And let me move my StreamYard interface to the other screen. So whenever I'm looking to this one, I'm reading the comment for you guys, right? And let me bring my screen. There you go. We will grade the perfume ad that Ellie created today in DaVinci Resolve. I think I showed a lot of like a couple of tricks back then that we can do in After Effects and we can do in Premiere Pro. But today, let's switch a little bit, and let's switch the game a little bit, and let's play around with Resolve. And I'm a big fan of Resolve, and probably some of you in the chat was asking, it's like, hey, is there any difference? Why do you use Resolve, and what's so special about it? For me personally, I love it because the node workflow, it helps me to visualize whatever I am doing, whatever adjustment that I'm doing to my image. So it gives me like a visual representations for my process, and that's what I love so much. And of course, at the moment, like today, we have only like 4 shots for this how do you call it, perfume ad. But normally, just imagine whenever you are grading something that is like in 10 minutes range, or like 5 minute range, depends on the cuts. There could be like tons of cuts, and like could be like hundreds of cuts. Whenever you have like different shots like that, I think that's where Resolve shines, because you can group things easily, and you can group your images based on the scene it was shot, or based on the locations, or based on the camera type, or based on the image type. So that's what makes me using Resolve for my color grading process, right? And so when I talked to Ellie, she sent me this render, very nice render of this crystal perfume. So I brought it into Resolve, and I cut it into like several shots. And for you, if you don't know how to do that, you can like simply go to the media page and like drag and drop your render, your how do you call it, video. to the media page. And then after that, you can create timeline from that. So let's do that. Let me check. Yeah, this is the render that Ellie gave me. So I already prepare one. And there is some grade that I already done. And yeah, this is like the grade. This is before, and that is after. It's not that much, like this is before, after, and that's before. So as you can see, it's just like we are like adding a little bit of contrast and color saturations, and trick our audience eyes to, not trick, but direct our audience eyes into something that we want them to see, right? We'll see that, but I think instead of me showing you whatever I have done before, why don't we play around? Let's play around, and let's grade it from scratch. And if the time is not enough, then we'll switch to this one, and I'll break down the project for you. All right. Peter said, glad that you're doing it in Resolve. Absolutely, brother. Awesome. And yeah, where am I? Okay, where were I? So like this one. Let's create a new timeline for this one, right? Create new timeline using selected clips. And let's name it grade. And then I use the project settings, whatever the project settings. Let's see. Let's go back to here. And let's see whatever we have in project settings. So master settings. All right. Use vertical resolutions because we have a vertical video. Okay. That's all right. No color management. That's it. Okay, cool. So we'll talk about color management later. Don't worry about it. So we are in the preparation stage at the moment. And we have a long video that needs to be cut because it has different shots. Let me like disable the audio. I don't know if you're hearing it from the stream, but it's just bothering me a little bit. Talking and listening, it's complicated. So we have like several shots, and ideally I want this to be like a separated. Why? Here, because if I am doing like a something to my image, like doing that, or I don't know, hang on. Why it's not doing anything? Okay. Weird. Let's go to this one. Let's go to the timeline and let's check why it is not doing anything. Right. Crazy. But let me how do you call it? Let me worry about that later. Let me worry about that, why it's not doing anything when I'm doing that, when I haven't cut the clip. But the idea is that why I need to cut this video into several different clips is that so that I can take care of the shots individually, because I don't want to create some grade or power window here and then it carries over to another shot. That's not smart, right? I think we want to cut the shots. And I turn off the color button. Yes, Eduardo, thank you very much. There you go. See? Operator error. Right. So again, I want to show you this. If I do a little adjustment here, because I didn't cut the clip, I didn't cut the video, it carries over to all of like the shots. And I don't want that, right? Because I want to grade that based on shots. So for example, here, if I am doing just the perfume, maybe like a brighten it, and if I scrub it, it carries over to all the shots. I think you got the point, right? So what I want to do, it's hard to see the interface clearly. Okay, let me do this. Let me disable myself and let me go full screen, something like that. Or this. Is this better? Let me reduce my camera size so that it's not blocking. Something like that. Yes. Thank you. All right. So what we want to do is that we want to cut this long video, and we can do that by hands using like this cut tools over here, blade tools. But we don't want that because in Resolve there are plenty of ways to do that automatically. Imagine if you have like plenty of like a shots, you don't want that. You don't want to do that by hands. And one nice thing that you can do is the detect scene cuts from the timeline menu. There is also a difference. There are two ways, literally, where you can do detect scene cuts. I think one from the media page and one from the timeline. I like to do it on the timeline, and I heard that it is backed up by the neural engine that Resolve's using, but who knows, right? So let me just do detect scene cuts, and it will analyze my video and create the cut for me. Perfect, right? So if I press up and down in my keyboard, I will move back and forth onto this clip. And if I scrub it, you see we have like a perfect cut for our shots. Now, anytime I want to grade this shots, I can grade them individually, right? So let's head over to the color page. And to go to the color page, we can simply just click the color page, right? And here at the bottom, we see the image. And here in the middle, we have our big viewer. And we have our node tree on the right. And the node will be processed from left to right. So if I create another node after node number one, node number two will be processed after node number one, right? So imagine this is as the input, like your image before the grade, and that one will be like your image after the grade. In this case, it will be the next page. I think it's going back to the edit page or something like that. Right. Before we move on, I just want to give you some how do you call it, informations about this image. We play around. I test this image around, and turn out that this is a Rec 709 image or sRGB image with gamma 2.2 or something like this, and it is an 8-bit image. I think you can really see that if we are like zooming in, and you start to see like, oh yeah, that's like very smooth banding going on in the background. And some of you probably ask is like, isn't that like less ideal to grade an sRGB image? Of course it is less ideal to grade an sRGB image, because ideally, whenever you want to grade, you need to have access to all the extra information that your image has, because grading is like the final pass before you are targeting a display space. So ideally, whenever you are working in your project, try to export something from your 3D app in a big color space, as big as color space as possible. And if you're working in color managed project, you can just simply leave it in ACES AP1 or ACEScg if you're using ACES in Cinema. But in this case, we already have a image that can live properly in our screen, because it's living in the sRGB color space. And if I'm not mistaken, this image also already have some like very subtle look applied on it using Magic Bullet looks in Cinema 4D. So can we still grade it? Absolutely, right? So we can still add something, as you saw previously. We can still add something onto the image, right? Before we even started, what I want to try, what I normally do is that I am playing around with the fidelity of the image. We need to test like the range of the image, how much exposure the image is carrying, what happens if you're doing gain, gamma, and lift operations to the image. But before we do our test, let's us set up our color management project, our color management. And we can do our color management in the project settings, like this. We can open the project settings using the gear icon at the bottom and go to the color management and do it here. But as I told you before, using nodes, it allows me to see my operations like very visually. And saying that, I would like to set up my color management using Node as well. And for me, what I like to do is normally, although I have like a similar image here, I will add them into a group. And to add series of images into a group is that you can select all of them or select the image that you want to add into a group and right click and press groups. In this case, I already have group 1 created. I can add into a new group, right? So before I do that, I want you to focus on this one, right? Here you see in the node editor, we only have two node, how do you call it, level. We have the clip level, and then we have the timeline level. But watch what change as I am adding them into a group. So if I add into a new group, let's name it Perfume. And as I press OK, you'll see that we unlock 2 more different category. In this case, is the group pre-clip and the group post-clip, right? So any adjustment that is done in the group pre-clip will be applied to all the images in the group, sorry. But it will be processed before the nodes in the clip level. And then the group post-clip will be applied, the adjustment in the group post-clip will be applied to all of the image in the group, but it will be processed after the clip level, right? So that's how I like to set up my color management. Actually, I can use my input. In this case, I want to use the Resolve color management. I want to bring my images into a color managed environment. And then later on, I, how do you call it? I target a display space from the color managed environment. So in this case, I can bring my images in the group into DaVinci White Gamut. Let's select DaVinci White Gamut with DaVinci Intermediate. And the input color space, it was Rec 709 with Gamma 2.2. I mean, color space wise, Rec 709 and sRGB shares exactly the same color space. And they just differ in the transfer functions. And then now on the way out, I can apply another color space transform. And from here, we can do from DaVinci White Gamut, right? Because our working color space is DaVinci White Gamut with DaVinci Intermediate Gamma. And we want to target a Rec 709 Gamma 2.2, not linear max. Come on, Gamma 2.2. Right. Nothing should change whatsoever if I disable this and enable this. We're just bringing our image from Gamma environment into a log environment. Now, you may ask, why would I do that, right? So let me show you in a very easy way. Let me just like disable this and disable that. And let me create generators. Let me create a grayscale ramp, right? Let's just put it here, right? So, okay, it is in the vertical, but it's okay. Let's create a new compound clip. Let's call it ramp. So if I don't make this as a compound clip, it will not be detected in the color page. So let me just create this so we can access this in our color page. Now, this is what I want to show you, why I even bother to like color manage this project, even though these images are already in Rec 709 Gamma 2.2 images in Gamma, sorry. Here, what I want to show you is that pay attention to how my tool behave. And here we have a ramp that goes from black to white. And as you can see in the curve, let me bring my curve. It represents the image. The curve represents our image, the signal in our image, that in our image, there is a black point, and it goes linearly to a white point. So anytime I do adjustment with my lift gain, so if I'm lifting my lift, you see that lift wheel, it is like a tackling all the area from the black level up to the highlights, but it is not touching the white points, right? And then if I'm doing the gain operations, right? If I'm doing gain operations, it is pretty much the opposite. It is touching all the white level, the white points, all the way down to the shadows, but it is not moving the black points. And if I'm doing the gamma adjustment, you can really see that it's just like tackling everything in the middle with more portions at the bottom half of the curve. But pay attention if I am going to sandwich this operations with a, I don't think I need that one. So this one from the timeline, gamma 2.2. And here going to, let's do DaVinci Intermediate. And here, DaVinci Intermediate, back to gamma 2.2. And as you can see, the operations is not so linear anymore. You see, if I am like tackling my lift operations, my lift wheel, you can really see that it is not a linear operations anymore. It's like you can really see that there is a soft curve that lifting the black points, but it lifts more the shadow area, and it's still not touching the white points, and it has some shoulder going on the highlights. And if I'm doing the gain, you can really see that it is not a linear operations. And that's why I went the color managed route, because I really want to have a uniform color space for all my image. And then I just simply want to work in a log environment. So, I mean, logarithmic environment, because DaVinci Intermediate is a logarithmic curve, right? So, and in the gamma, you can really see that it is different, you know? So that's why. Okay, let's put the curve back, and let's reset everything, reset all grades. And yeah, I hope this, give you a little bit of, I don't know, idea about why I even bother to color manage this Rec 709 images, right? And if that's nothing new to you, well, I hope it's a refresher. Right. Okay. First, what we want to do is that we can try to balance our image. And here, before we create even like the look for our video, for our project. So there are sometimes a debate. It's like, do you balance first, or do you create look first and then balance? Well, it's really depends on the project. If I may say, if you are working like run and gun, it's just you and shooting the images by yourself, and then you want to grade it. I bet this is best if you are balance the image first and then create the look after that. But if it's like a high budget movie that has a DP that like thoroughly calculating all the lights ratios in the set, and everything is like well balanced, well maintained, you can get away with creating the look development for look first, and then after that balance under it. So it really depends. But most generally saying, like, I would say that if you have like a run and gun type of project, better balance it first. And in this case, it's slightly different because we have a CGI image, right? CG images. And in CG image, a color cast or color balance is hardly a problem, because the colors are not captured, it is generated, right? It's different than the images that was captured by the camera. And it was different. An image that is captured by the camera tends to have a more like a white balance issues than image that is generated. And yeah, I mean, it's just my observations. There's no thesis behind it. There's no paper behind it, but that just like my observations working with a lot of like this CG images. And Peter asked, why wouldn't Ellie have output in ACEScg to make things interesting? To challenge me, probably. No, I mean she put one images, and I will how do you call it? I will show that later on in the end of this sessions. She output one OpenEXR images, and it has like all the passes, but we will go into that later. I actually want to keep it as a surprise in the end, but we'll talk about it later, Peter. All right. And second reasons probably is like the render time. It's like really time intensive, especially if you are spitting out OpenEXR. It's huge. Okay, so let us start by balancing our image first. So what I see here, I mean, I really love the color scheme that Ellie went with this one. It's like a very analogous color. You have like this goldeny, reddish, brown, golden, or something. I don't know, in that area. And the background is slightly reddish, but the bottle has a little bit more gold onto it. And I think what's nice, if we can strengthen this compositions, if we can create some kind of like color separations that makes the gold stand out a little bit more than the reddish brown goldeny background, right? But before we go into the look development, well, let's balance our image first. And for balancing our image, probably what I want to do is that simply bring down the shadow area. I think the black level, it's okay where it is. It can go down a little bit, maybe something like that. And what I can also do, probably reduce the color boost. So because I want to add the color, the saturations later on. Ideally, I want to like just simply trim like the extra saturated color so that I can like handle the saturations on my side later on, right? Probably around -3 should be enough, right? So before and after. And I can go to the last shot because it's similar, right? It is similar. And let me just try by copying it. And voila, it looks like, there's nothing that catches our attentions. There are plenty of ways of balance, like a comparing image. Like a lot of people like to compare image like by doing pixel peeping, like grabbing a still from the image that you want to make a reference and going to the shot that you want to match. And then after that, create like a split image to see if it's really like one-to-one, how do you call it, balance or match. Me, I don't really like doing that because it really depends on the type of the project. If it's a still image, yes, I would totally do that. But it is an animations, right? And how do you watch animations? You watch it as a video, and it has cuts that goes from one image to the other. I think having like an image that is not taking your attention out from those different cuts will be fine enough. Right, let me go to this one again. Let's see. Yeah, there is like a unbalance because we haven't balanced this one. And if I copy the grade from shot number 1, it looks totally fine. And let's see if I copy this one. Also, this is okay. And again, I mean, here we have like a very high, how do you call it? Very bright highlights, but it is a moving image. And I don't think it takes from the experience that much. We can worry about that later. So let's go back to this one and moving on with our process. Now we have like an image that pretty much live in the same world, right? And now we can try to focus creating the look for our image. And then after that, come back to our grading, in this case, like color correcting, balancing the images again. I mean, that's how I like to do it. I like to move back and forth, and there's no simple single process that I follow. It's really just like a do something, check, see if it fits, and move on. Right? In this case, I would love to compare something, guys. I don't know if you are following like a color grading trend, recently. I think there is like a very nice output DRT at the moment, display rendering transform, that was made by a guy called Juan Pablo Zambrano. And he created a very nice output rendering transform, that he called the JP2499. And I play around with it and I fell in love with it. So the idea of that output rendering transform is that you can use any like a color managed project. You can work in RCM, Resolve Color Management, or you can work in ACES, but you can change the display output rendering transform. So the working space remains whatever you choose, but the output rendering will be different algorithm. And in this case, it is in a form of DCTL, right? Let me delete this one. It is in a form DCTL that you can use to replace your output transform. Let's rename this. So this one, our input transform. And here in our timeline, this is our output transform. And let me drop in the output transform from Juan Pablo in the form of DCTL. So I'll drop in the DCTL OFX, and let me disable this. And I'll select the JP2499 DRT, right? At the like currently now we see like, okay, there's not much different anyway. What is Max is talking about? But I'll show you that later. Right. In this settings, we are aiming for Rec 709 Gamma 2.2. And in this case, we are aiming for Rec 709 power 2.4 BT 1886, which means Gamma 2.4. We want to change that into Rec 709 power 2.2 sRGB, right? So now let's compare. Let's use the RCM output rendering transform and grab a still, disable this, right? And then after that, use the JP2499, and let's swipe. I mean, how can you not love it? You know, it has like a very nice color renditions. Look how rich the brown, the reddish gold color in the background, and the gold color on the bottle. So I probably would love to just stay with JP2499 as my output transform in this case. And yeah, let's disable this. And goodbye, the RCM output transform. Let's delete this. And let's baptize this into our new output transform, right? So the input is still DaVinci White Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate. And here we have the output DaVinci White Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate. So perfect. Now we are in business. So let's create our look. By the way, if you don't know where to download the JP2499, it's open source. You can go to GitHub and just type in JP2499, Juan Pablo Zambrano. And yeah, let's create a node before that. Right. There's some method whenever I'm creating my looks. I don't normally just like create any looks like willy-nilly. And then there are some like a, how do you call it, process. I like to do my hue as the first like element in my looks, and then after that I move on into the saturations and density, and then after that using the contrast, and then the split tone at the end, at the very end, right? And there are some elements of looks in my personal opinion. I think like big how do you call it, part of looks is like, really, if you split it into three, it's just mainly like whatever uh, hue that you, the preferred hue that you want to target, the preferred contrast, and then textures. So all those three always go in the back of my head anytime I'm creating the looks of my images. I always ask, how is the hue, do you like it? How is the contrast, do you like it? And how is the textures of the image? Do you need more, do you need less? And all right, let's create our first hue, hue change in this case. Um, what we can do is that we can play around with the tools that is native in Resolve. You probably wonder, it's like, hey, Max, why don't you use Magic Bullet yet? I will, but not yet. I will keep it at the end. I mean, right. So here, what I want to do is that I probably want to soften the color a little bit, right? So let's just use the widest available like a color tool that you can use. That is RGB Mixer. It's changing the signal in your RGB channel of your image, like almost in its entirety. So just by doing this, I have like this soft looking image, soft looking like a hue renditions of our image. This is before and this is after. It is as if this one is a little bit more like loud and this one is like a smooth jazz, you know? Right. This is how I tackle that. That's my hue number one. And I'll create another node here, and let's just bring it somewhere on the top so we have more space. And here will be my hue number two. And I think if you guys use Magic Bullet looks enough, you remember the tool color remap, where you can pick one color and remap it into another color. I really love that one, but since we want to use Magic Bullet looks like sparsely, and I will use it later on to just add some nuance. In order to do that, there's another tool that is available as a DCTL called Tetra. And it's a very nice tool that you can use to, to target a specific color in your image. And in this case, I probably want to reduce my red a little bit. I mean, you can use whatever tool available in Resolve. Like here, we can use the color warper if we want to, or we can use the color slice if we want to. But I mean, I like using Tetra. So I mean, yeah, let's try again. Let's reduce the red in our images, and let's add green to the red, right? Just so that we have like this gold, and then reduce the blue, or maybe add the blue a little bit, something like that. Now we have like a separations between the background and then the image slightly, because we have like this gold before. I mean, it's very subtle. I don't know if you can see that over the stream. And then now I will tackle my yellow by, warming the yellow slightly, and perhaps pushing a little bit green and reduce something like that. All right. So that's pretty much my hue adjustment, right? So I make the hue a little bit more softer and polite, so to say. And let's create another node. And in this case, I want to create a little bit of like saturations increase in my image. because if you remember, we just reduce the amount of saturation if in our image, like globally, using the color boost in the clip level, right? If I go here, let me just no, I would call it a balance, but it's okay. Let's do that. So everything has balance label on it. I mean, we reduce the color boost by like -3. Reza in the chat asking, "Dear Maxon, please, we're begging for a Blender to Cinema 4D bridge for moving scenes between both softwares." Noted. I'll tell the developer. Okay. Yeah. Where were I? Saturations. Yeah, hue saturations. Let's label it. Right. There are plenty of way to increase saturations. Like if you know, right? There is like this saturations slider that you can do, but I don't know. In my opinion, increasing and reducing saturations, especially for your global look, using the saturation control, feel a little bit too. I don't know. Because anytime we increase the saturations over here, you'll see that the color is very unpleasant to see, right? There are plenty of ways that you can add saturations. Like one popular way that you probably already know, and if you watch a lot of Resolve tutorial out there, a lot of people like to use like this HSV saturations. That is like increasing saturations as well as increasing density as you do it. That is done by just simply change your color space into HSV, and the channels, disable channel 1 and disable channel 3. So it means like you only have channel 2 active, and it means that you are only operating in the saturation channel. Channel 1 is H, I forgot what H stand for, hue, and S, channel 2 saturation, V is value. Right. So with that being said, if we are like targeting the green channel of our gain, it means like we are increasing saturations in the value channel. I mean, it's nice. I kind of like it, but there's another way to do that. I mean, this is kind of nice, to be honest. But I want to show you a different way, and that is increasing saturations in LAB color. And to do that, let me create a compound node because it needs some nodes. So I create another node and select both of them and create compound node. And here, let's label it saturations. And if I go in, right, we will have like exactly the node that we created, except here I want to create a parallel node, right? And here just a null, so that it will look pretty. Nothing. I don't use this node and I don't use that node. What I want to do here, I want to target a LAB color space. And in this case, I want to target that 3 different channels separately. On topmost, I want to dedicate it to L channel. The second node, A channel. And the third node is B channel. I mean, without getting too complicated, what a LAB color space is. LAB color space is a how do you call it? A uniform color space, and it consists of 2 different coordinates that goes from A, the coordinates A and B. And A, I think it is going from magenta to green, and B, it is going to yellow to blue. So it is going in the complementary type of color scheme. So how do I go there? Is that I can just like simply clicking the L node and select the color space, select LAB CIE, and here, as you have may guess, I'll disable channel 2 and disable channel 3. So I'll only have the channel 1. And here, same deal like before, LAB, but I want to activate just the channel 2. And here in the B, pretty much the same, but it is only channel 3 active. So again, if you see, it is LAB channel, right? And what's nice in LAB is that anytime you put positive value, it goes into a warmer color. And anytime you put the negative value, it goes into like the cooler color. So in this case, if in A, I play around with my highlights, like if I increase my highlights, it is giving me like this red color. But if I go to the minus, it is giving me the green, the opposite. So what I want to do is that I will leave the L channel by itself, because L stands for the luminance. I don't want to change the contrast using my saturations, how do you call it, adjustment. I want to just limit it to saturations adjustment. I'll add contrast later on. So in the A channel, what I can do is that I can use my custom curves. So I can use my curve, and I will just increase the highlights, maybe something like that, and reduce the shadow, make it a little bit more green. So like if I go too much, it goes like super green, right? So we don't want that. And in the B channel, it's pretty much the same. I want a warm color in my highlights, which is this yellowish, so that it adds to this goldeny scheme, goldeny color. And then after that, I have my like saturation increase. And to control this amount of saturations, I can go to the note key and go to the key output and just play around with it. So until you like really sees like, all right, maybe just like around 0.6, something like this, before and after, before and after. So if I want to, I can also tweak whatever I did with my curve here. Maybe let's go back, sorry, to make it more. So let me just reset my gain. So let's go back here and go to my curve. And instead of like doing this linear operations, maybe I can create something more curvy. And I can do that by clicking the enable splines in my curve, right? Here, enable splines, right? And I can just click this point and then just like increase that. And here, reduce that. So the, how do you call it? The lowest point and then the highest point will stay as it is, but everything in between will change with the amount of saturations, right? Same deal like before for the B channel, something like that. And maybe a little bit more. There you go. And then now, if I'm going back, now I can control it with the gain operations, something like this. And if I feel like, okay, the red is a little bit too pingy red, I don't like that, then I can go back and perhaps go to the A channel, to the highlights, and just reduce it slightly, something like that. Okay, I think I like that. So, but in this case, what we are doing here, we have like a saturations applied to all our images. Doesn't matter if the saturated area or less saturated area, we just increase the saturations uniformly. That's something that I don't want. And we can do another saturations adjustment so that we can just control the saturations to be limited onto the low saturation area, and the high saturation area remain as it is. And we can do that with a custom curves. And if we go to curve, not custom curve. We can do that with a sat by saturations curve, sat by sat v sat curve, right? So here I can just trim the highest point, like the one at the in the white point. It means like the most saturated area, I want to reduce it. But the how do you call it, the less saturated area, I want to keep it, you know. maybe something like that. And here, let me just create like a tapered, how do you call it? A tapered like curve. So I don't know if we go to a vector scope, vector scope, you can see that it is very, very minute. Let's check that. Something like this. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You can see the change in the vector scope. So this is before, after, right? So together, okay, together. Oh, no, sorry. Command D, Max, come on. Right. Before, after, before, and after, right? So that's how I tackle my like a saturations operations, to just limit it to a very less saturated area. I still feel that it's a little bit too reddish, and I can tackle that using Tetra, maybe reduce the red slightly. So reduce the red, and as I reduce the red, you can see that the gold start to like uh, um, to be like the main star. And I want to like emphasize that. I want to emphasize that this perfume is made of gold. It's expensive, right? So by reducing the red slightly using Tetra, using my hue operations, I can go to this point very easy. So before, after, before, after, right? So that's my saturations. And then after that, I'll tackle my density operations. And there are plenty of ways that you can do density. And one way that you can easily do that within Resolve is that you can use this new color slice, and we have like a density control and saturation control for each category. Here we have red, skin, yellow. Skin, by the way, it's skin tone color, somewhere in the golden territory, probably in the vector scope. It's around this I bar, this line over here, right? So what I want to do is that I don't want to tackle my saturations. I'm pretty much happy with my saturations level, but I want to reduce it slightly. I want to tackle my density. So I can increase the density in the red, increase density in the skin tone, and increase density in the yellow, something like that. So before, after. I hope you can really see how the perfume is popping out from the background, right? And that's my density. That's the idea of the grade, because I know that I'm not working with a very like a wide latitude image. I don't have much, but I can still go for like a color separations. I can still separate the color like a specific hue so that it is not contaminated by another color. And by doing that, you can really see that the perfume, the golden perfume, is standing out from this goldeny background. So next is the fun part, where I can drop in magic bullet looks, because I'm thinking of texture now. I feel like, yeah, I mean, we can tackle the contrast and split tone here, but I feel like, yeah, it's kind of okay. I like the contrast amount here, and I think it's okay for me. Like if I pop in my scopes, you can see that we have a pretty much a healthy contrast in our image, right? So I can drop in my magic bullet looks, but remember, magic bullet looks work in ACES, and we are in RCM. How do we do that? How can we use magic bullet looks in ACES while we are still in RCM? So hang on, let me, uh-oh, something is wrong. Why can I not delete this? Delete node? Okay, there you go. So my computer is like almost freezing. Add serial. add serial, add node, add serial, and here add another serial. So I think I saw the clock. I only have like a very limited amount. I think I'll switch into the project that I prep so that I can like simply, how do you call it, break down my grade there. But I will show you first the magic bullet looks, and stay tuned, because at the end I will show you, Peter. I'll show you the OpenEXR file that Ellie gave me. All right, so here, what we want to do, because we know that magic bullet looks only work in ACES, we can do a color transform, right? We can do a color space transform using like color space transform here and color space transform over there, right? So what we can do, we can go, sorry, Resolve just crashes. Oh, story of my life, guys. Right. Anybody have questions? This is the time for you guys to ask questions. All right. Oops, Peter say, oops. Yes, Peter. It happens. Oh man. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me just move to the timeline number 1. Okay. So I think we're pretty much exactly where we at. Here, the output, it's still using the JP2499. And what I did with the Magic Bullet looks is that I use color space transform to move from DaVinci White Gamut into ACES AP1 using ACEScct gamma. And on the other end of the sandwich, I move from ACES AP1 ACEScct, and here DaVinci White Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate. And let me just disable this. And if I go to Magic Bullet Looks, what I'm doing here, I mean, you can see like a little bit of discrepancy, because the grade in the clip level seems to be not picked up by looks. But it's not a problem, because what I'm doing here is that I'm just adding some textures, and that is fine. And what I'm doing is that I'm adding optical diffusions to add slightly, how do you call it, a soft highlights for my bottle perfume here. And then after that, I add halations just very slightly. I mean, you can really see that here at the bottom here, we have a very small halations going on. Okay, let me make big, sorry, guys. And then at the end, I add a renoiser just to add slight noise to hide the, how do you call it, the banding issue that we had before, right? So that's it. So if I press OK, that's pretty much my look. Of course, it looks slightly different to what we have previously, right? Previously, I think we still have a little bit more red. We can tackle that with our Tetra, but we don't have time to do that. Let me show you what I did extra on the grade. So here are the stuff that I did. So we have a balance, exactly like what we did previously. But from now on, after my balance, I just play around with the, how do you call it, as if I am relighting the scene. It's not really relighting the scene, but I'm just like playing around with the with a power window to make like, to redirect our eyes. I want our eyes to be our audience eyes to be focusing on the perfume. So here I have a circle windows that is around 0 aspect. So it's just going into like this vertical, how do you call it, vertical windows. And here I just make like the, how do you call it, the sides a little bit darker. And yeah, I invert this vertical window so that it's not making the perfume darker, but it makes the sides darker. And at the bottom, the stage, I have a track window. And in this case, it's like a simple, very rough window that I track to follow the base of the perfume, right? It just go down, right? Something like that. And what I did is that I reduced the highlight slightly, and I reduced the midtone detail, as well as reducing the saturations. And in this case, I use this saturation slider over here. So with that being said, I just want our eyes to be more like stuck into the perfume. Why? If you remember, I think we talked about this in last couple of like a create with Maxon, especially when talking about MoGraph basics. I think I talk about the 7 rules of contrast from Johannes Itten. There is like this contrast of saturations. Our eyes latches onto the most saturated area, and contrast of tone, that our eyes latches into the brightest part of the image. And contrast of saturations is stronger than the contrast of tone. And in this case, I just use that principle to just reduce slightly the saturations and then the brightness of the base. It still lives in this gold world, but it has less saturations than our bottle. And in this case, by believing in the theory of Johannes Itten, I'm sure that our eyes is latching more onto the perfume. And to strengthen that, I have like this power window track onto the perfume, like it's following the perfume. And here, I'm just adding a midtone detail just to add slightly, a little bit more textures onto the bottle. Nothing so special. And then next, I also have a very soft circle window that is targeting like this sides, because I without this, I feel like it's a little bit too flat, and I just want it to be like, a little bit more bright on the other side. So it creates like ununiform type of like lighting. So here, slightly brighter, like tad bit brighter than this part, so to just add an interesting element. And at the bottom, I create another power window to just reduce the brightness of this area. So without the power windows layout, you can really see that, it's just a soft, reduced, how do you call it, amount of brightness in this area. So if we play, perfect. I like that. As well as at the bottom, it's exactly at the, how do you call it, at the end of the shot, it's exactly the same setup. The different things here is that, I only use this power window for this one. Power window. I only use like this lighting window over here to like create a interesting lighting, because the perfume itself is already like the brightest part. If I want to, however, Command P, Alt P, I can probably create another power window. Let's make it 0, something like this. And let's rotate it slightly towards the perfume, right? And make it bigger and softer, like very soft, right? And invert it so that it is only targeting that area on the outside, right? Right, so you can really see that. The shortcut to this button is Shift H, right? Shift H. So what I can do here, I can reduce the midtone details of the outer part, right? And also reduce the brightness, the gain slightly, just very slightly. Or if I want to, without midtone detail, I can just simply go to the sharpening, right? And change the gamma into linear, because I want to tackle the blur, and I can just blur those area in linear gain. So before, after, just to make our eyes latching more onto this perfume bottle. And if I want to, I can just copy this one exactly onto this one, because it is exactly the same shot, right? I mean, and that was it. That's the grade. That is literally the grade. So if I play, let me remove my screen. No. If I play the clip, this is the clip before the grade. Which is very nice. Credits to Ellie. She did a great job. And this is like the clip that we just grade today. It's exactly this one, and I just like render it out. I mean, yeah, there you go. Before, after, before, after. It just add a little bit of something onto our image, right? Now, let's go into the OpenEXR. We are 5 minutes over. I hope that's okay with you guys. I will definitely go quickly about this. Peter said, very nice. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Here, we have the OpenEXR, and the way you bring OpenEXR sequences into Resolve, it's not that hard, right? So you can like, where is it? Where is it? Let me find my OpenEXR file. Was it in my desktop? I think so. Yeah. So here, there you go. To bring OpenEXR sequence into Resolve, it's pretty easy. You just open like your Finder, select all, Command A. Sorry, in Indonesians, A is A. So I mean, especially in German as well. A is A. So switching between Indonesian, German, and English, it's kind of like a tongue twister for me. Right, selecting everything using Command A, and then after that, you can just drag and drop it into like the media page. And here in the media page, we have the OpenEXR, which I brought into this one, right? So here, the OpenEXR, and from there, I create a new timeline using this command. Right-click, create new timeline, and I have like this timeline number 2. So if I go to my color page, you can see that we set our color management using Node, and in this case, we are using ACES. Doesn't really matter, really. I mean, we can change the output rendering transform using JP2499. So we only work in ACES in the, how do you call it, in the uniform color working space. But we are rendering out our image not using ACES, but using the fabulous JP2499. So what's different with OpenEXR? And by the way, Peter, if you notice this, if you're like notice this, apparently the OpenEXR file is still in sRGB, because if we are if this ACEScg, I mean, if I'm selecting ACEScg, you can see that it is not ACEScg image. If it's ACEScg image with this setup, it should look correct, right? So apparently it's still sRGB image, but I think there is like some issues in the exporting, or probably I didn't give like the spec correctly. So, but yeah, that's probably the case that I need to better communicate with whoever I'm working, so that the trim not gonna happen before the grading pass, because we want the grading pass to be like the last part of our image processing. Now, let me create a new node. What is very nice working with the OpenEXR, which image passes, right? With image passes, is that it's like a dream. Grading with like a image passes with OpenEXR is like a dream. In this case, Ellie provide me with a OpenEXR sequence that has several passes, and to use that passes in Resolve, It's very easy. And the way you use that is just simply like drag and drop the sequence that you want to use and drag and drop it to your node, and then select the first output, the blue output at the top, and connect it into the alpha in from your node, right? So in this case, I connect my mat into the image that I drag and drop. The sequence that I drag and drop will be a mat for this node. And in this one, I can just right click and select mat. And in this case, you can see that Ellie has kindly provided me with a lot of different mat. In this case, the base, the beauty, diffuse lighting, puzzle mat, and so on and so forth. How do I see that? How do I see that mat? Like what mat do what? I mean, you can kind of like see that in this node very faintly over there, right? But this is not something that we want to. Or if I do the highlight, I can also see that. But the way I like to work with mat in Resolve, while watching like a correct image over here, is that you can simply go to this node key, and you can kind of see whatever like the mat is doing. And in this case, if we go to the select mat, and if we choose like beauty, we have pretty much the everything, and we don't want that. I don't need that for my grading. But here in the puzzle mat, I can see that, all right, I can now target just the background without the foreground. In this case, the bottle and the base will be excluded. If I'm changing anything here, it will be just the background. That's super nice. If we have like this type of like access in our previous grade, imagine what we can do. And what's nice here, I can also like inverse this, and then now I'm just like targeting the bottle without the, how do you call it, the background. Of course, I see the background a little bit, but that just the background here, it is shown as a gray instead of black, and I can tackle that here. And then now, if I'm doing the adjustment, I'm just adjusting my bottle. So if I just want to add saturations, I mean, using this, I feel like a little bit more, more like almost like cheating, right? So that's how you preview matte using OpenEXR. And we have reflection filter, which is just the bottle and the base. And then we have the refraction filter, which is just the, how do you call it, the liquid, and specular lighting, which is only the specular lighting. So imagine the possibility. You can tackle that specific area without creating any keys, without like a tracking anything. So, it's a dream grading like a CG image with passes. So that's it. I think that's it for today. I'm sorry if I go all over the place and go over time. And I hope that you guys will learn something today. And by the way, let me close this with a very like a small housekeeping. I think, oh, hang on, let's go on. I think you guys already know that, if you want to watch this, let me copy this comment. See, if you want to watch the recording, it will be available in this page. And how do you access this page? You can go to your chat, and there is a link to this page. If you go to like a training team on YouTube, click that. You'll see that you'll be redirected to training team, and you'll be able to watch the recording of this one and all the others show that Maxon did, right? And if you're curious about Maxon events, where are we going to be next? Go to the Maxon event button, and then you'll see that we'll be attending this event. And then if you want to learn more about Maxon product, feel free to head to University using this button, and you'll be how do you call it, brought into the University. So let me disable my my screen share. Yeah, and now my background is corrupt. Oh, there you go. Much better. All right. That's it, guys. And I hope you learned something today. And my name is Max, and I'm the colorist and trainer at Maxon. I hope this has been a nice experience for you guys. And Andre said it was pretty interesting. Couple things turned out to be new for me. I'm very glad that you learned something today, Andre. And that's very nice. And if you want to stay in touch, feel free to reach out to us to training@maxon.net. I also check that email address frequently. So thank you so much, guys. And I wish you a nice day, a nice start of the day, or a nice evening, wherever you are. And hope to see you in the next stream. Thank you very much. And bye-bye.